The clock on the dashboard showed 9:47 p.m. when Officer Danny Carter saw the black sedan driving slowly through downtown Springfield. The car was expensive, maybe a BMW or Mercedes, and it caught his attention right away. Danny had been a police officer for 15 years, and he thought he knew trouble when he saw it. A fancy car in this part of town at this hour looked suspicious to him. Danny turned on his patrol car's flashing lights and followed the sedan. The driver pulled over quickly and stopped under a streetlight. Danny parked behind the car and sat for a moment looking at the license plate. He called it in to dispatch and waited for the check to come back clean. When it did, he got out of his patrol car and walked toward the sedan. The driver had already rolled down his window and was sitting calmly with his hands on the steering wheel. Danny could see he was a black man, probably in his 50s, wearing a nice suit. This made Danny even more suspicious. He wondered how someone like this could afford such an expensive car. "Good evening, officer," the driver said politely. "May I ask why you stopped me?" Danny shined his flashlight into the car. "License and registration," he said in a harsh tone. He did not answer the man's question. The driver reached slowly for his wallet. "I'm going to get my license from my wallet," he said, moving very carefully. "My registration is in the glove box." "Just do it quickly," Danny said, keeping his hand near his gun. He watched every move the driver made. The man handed over his license and registration. Danny looked at the name on the license, Marcus Washington. The address was in the wealthy part of town, which made Danny even more suspicious. "What are you doing in this neighborhood, Marcus?" Danny asked, using the man's first name on purpose to show disrespect. "I was driving home from work," Marcus answered calmly. "Is there a problem with my driving?" Danny looked at the registration. The car was registered to Marcus Washington at the same address. Everything seemed to be in order, but Danny was not satisfied. "What kind of work do you do?" Danny asked. "I work downtown," Marcus said simply. "That's not what I asked," Danny said, his voice getting louder. "What kind of work? How do you afford a car like this?" Marcus took a deep breath. He had been through situations like this before. "I have a job that pays well," he said. "Officer, I was not speeding or breaking any traffic laws. Why did you stop me?" Danny did not like the question. He felt like this man was challenging his authority. "I'll ask the questions here," he said. "Get out of the car." "May I ask why?" Marcus said. "Get out of the car now," Danny repeated, raising his voice. Marcus knew he had to be careful. He had seen too many situations go wrong when people did not comply with police orders, even when those orders were not legal. He opened his car door slowly and stepped out. "Put your hands on the car," Danny ordered. Marcus placed his hands on the roof of his car. Danny began to search him, patting down his suit jacket and pants. He found nothing except a cell phone, which he took from Marcus's pocket. "Hey," Marcus said. "That's my phone." "I'll give it back when I'm done," Danny said. He looked at the phone and saw that it was recording. "Were you recording me?" "It's legal to record police interactions in public," Marcus said calmly. Danny was angry now. He felt like this man was trying to make trouble for him. "Are you some kind of lawyer?" he asked sarcastically. Before Marcus could answer, another patrol car arrived. Officer Lisa Martinez got out and walked over to them. She was young, only 2 years on the force, but she could see that something was not right about this traffic stop. "What's the situation, Danny?" she asked. "Just a routine." "Stop," Danny said. "This guy was acting suspicious." Lisa looked at Marcus, who was still standing with his hands on his car. He was well dressed and polite, and she could not see anything suspicious about him. She also noticed that Danny seemed more aggressive than usual. "Sir, what's your name?" Lisa asked Marcus. "Marcus Washington," he replied. Lisa felt like she had heard that name before, but she could not remember where. "Can I see some identification?" she asked. Danny held up Marcus's license. "Already got it," he said. "I'm going to search his car now." "Do you have probable cause for a search?" Lisa asked quietly. Danny glared at her. "I don't need probable cause. This is a routine traffic stop." Lisa knew that was not true, but she was still new and did not want to challenge a senior officer in front of a civilian. She watched as Danny walked around Marcus's car, looking in the windows with his flashlight. Marcus remained calm throughout the search. He had learned long ago that staying quiet and cooperative was the safest way to handle these situations, even when the police were clearly in the wrong. He watched Danny go through his car, moving papers around and opening the glove box. "What's in this briefcase?" Danny asked, pulling out a leather briefcase from the back seat. "Work papers," Marcus said. Danny opened the briefcase and found legal documents, court papers, and files. He flipped through them quickly, not really understanding what he was looking at. Some of the papers had official court seals on them. "You really are a lawyer," Danny said with disgust in his voice. "Not exactly," Marcus said quietly. Danny continued looking through the briefcase. He saw papers with Marcus's name on them and official court letterhead. One document caught his attention because it had Marcus's photo on it, along with some official-looking text. Lisa moved closer to see what Danny was looking at. When she saw the document, her eyes went wide. She recognized it now. It was a judicial identification card. Marcus Washington was not just a lawyer, he was a judge. "Danny," Lisa said quietly, trying to get his attention. But Danny was not paying attention to her. He was still focused on making Marcus's life difficult. "So you think you're better than everyone else because you're a lawyer?" he said to Marcus. "Officer," Marcus said calmly, "I think there may be a misunderstanding here. The only misunderstanding is you thinking you can drive around here like you own the place," Danny said. Lisa tried again to get Danny's attention, but he was too focused on his confrontation with Marcus. She could see that this situation was about to get much worse, and she knew she had to do something to stop it. The street was quiet except for the sound of traffic in the distance. Under the bright streetlight, the three people stood in a scene that would change all their lives. Forever. Lisa Martinez stepped closer to Danny, trying to catch his attention without making a scene. She had seen the judicial identification card in Marcus's briefcase, and she knew they were making a terrible mistake. But Danny was still focused on intimidating Marcus, who stood quietly by his car with his hand still visible. "Danny, can I talk to you for a second?" Lisa said, trying to sound casual. "Not now, Martinez," Danny replied without looking at her. He turned back to Marcus. "So tell me, lawyer man, what kind of cases do you work on? Helping criminals get away with their crimes?" Marcus took a slow breath. He had hoped to avoid this moment, but he could see that Officer Carter was not going to let this go. "Officer Carter, I think you should know that I am Judge Marcus Washington of the Springfield County Court." Danny laughed out loud. "Right, and I'm the chief of police. You think I'm stupid?" "I'm not lying to you," Marcus said calmly. "If you look at my identification card in that briefcase, you'll see that I'm telling the truth." Danny picked up the briefcase again and found the card that Lisa had seen. He looked at it under his flashlight, but he was so angry that he could not think clearly. The card looked official, but Danny did not want to believe it. "Anyone can fake one of these," Danny said, waving the card in the air. "You probably made this on your computer at home." Lisa could not stay quiet anymore. "Danny, that's a real judicial ID. I've seen them before when I delivered court papers. Judge Washington's name is on cases I've handled." Danny turned to look at Lisa with anger in his eyes. "Are you taking his side now? You've been on the force for 2 years. I've been doing this for 15. I know a fake ID when I see one." Marcus remained calm, even though he was getting frustrated. "Officer Carter, you can call the courthouse and verify my identity. You can also call Judge Helen Brooks at the county administration office. She can confirm who I am." "It's almost 10 o'clock at night," Danny said. "Nobody's going to be at the courthouse." "Then call the police station and ask them to verify my identity," Marcus suggested. "They have access to the court system database." Danny did not want to make the call because he was starting to worry that Marcus might be telling the truth. But he also did not want to look foolish in front of Lisa and Marcus. "Fine," he said. "I'll call it in. But when this comes back fake, you're going to jail for impersonating a public official." Danny walked back to his patrol car and got on the radio. "Dispatch, this is Unit 47. I need you to run a check on someone claiming to be Judge Marcus Washington of Springfield County Court. Copy that, Unit 47, stand by, came the reply from the dispatcher. While they waited, Lisa tried to make conversation with Marcus. Sir, I'm sorry about this situation. This is not how traffic stops usually go. Marcus nodded. I understand, Officer Martinez. You're just doing your job, but your partner seems to have some issues he needs to work through. What were you doing out so late? Lisa asked, trying to make normal conversation. I was at the courthouse until about 9:30, Marcus explained. I had to finish reviewing some cases for tomorrow's court session. I was just driving home when Officer Carter pulled me over. Lisa looked at Marcus's expensive suit and his calm manner. Everything about him suggested that he was telling the truth about being a judge. She had never seen someone fake being so professional and polite during a traffic stop. Danny walked back over to them looking worried. They're still checking, he said. But even if you are who you say you are, that doesn't mean you weren't doing something wrong. What exactly do you think I was doing wrong? Marcus asked. I was driving the speed limit, I stopped at all the traffic lights, and I pulled over immediately when you turned on your lights. You were driving suspiciously, Danny said, but his voice was not as confident as before. How was I driving suspiciously? Marcus asked. Danny could not give a good answer. The truth was that he had stopped Marcus because he was a black man driving an expensive car in a neighborhood where Danny thought he did not belong. But Danny could not say that out loud. The radio in Danny's patrol car crackled to life. Unit 47, this is dispatch. Danny walked back to his car to answer. Unit 47 here. Unit 47, we've confirmed the identity of Marcus Washington. He is indeed a sitting judge for Springfield County Court. He's been on the bench for 8 years and has a clean record. No warrants, no criminal history. Danny felt his stomach drop. He had just spent the last 20 minutes treating a respected judge like a common criminal. He walked back to Marcus and Lisa, trying to think of what to say. Well? Lisa asked, though she already knew the answer from Danny's expression. The check came back clean, Danny said quietly. Marcus nodded. As I told you it would. Now, Officer Carter, may I have my phone back and my identification? I would like to go home. Danny handed over the phone and the license, but he was not ready to end the encounter. Look, judge or not, you still seem suspicious. I was just doing my job. Your job is to protect and serve the community, Marcus said, his voice still calm but with a slight edge. Your job is not to harass law-abiding citizens because of the color of their skin or the car they drive. I never said anything about race, Danny protested. You didn't have to, Marcus replied. Your actions spoke clearly enough. Lisa felt uncomfortable watching this conversation. She knew that Danny had been wrong from the beginning, but she also knew that challenging a senior officer could hurt her career. Marcus put his license back in his wallet and closed his briefcase. Officer Carter, I want you to know that I was driving home from the courthouse where I spent my evening reviewing cases. Some of those cases involved police officers giving testimony. I take my job seriously, and I believe in supporting good police work. Danny did not know what to say to that. Marcus continued. But what happened here tonight was not good police work. This was harassment, plain and simple. You stopped me without cause, searched me without probable cause, and treated me with disrespect throughout this entire encounter. I was following procedure, Danny said weakly. No, you were not, Marcus said firmly. And Officer Martinez knows it too. Lisa looked down at the ground. She knew Marcus was right, but she was afraid to agree with him in front of Danny. Marcus got back into his car and started the engine. Before driving away, he rolled down his window one more time. Officer Carter, I hope you will think about what happened here tonight, and I hope you will consider how you would feel if someone treated your father or your brother the way you treated me. As Marcus drove away, Danny and Lisa stood under the street light in uncomfortable silence. Both of them knew that this traffic stop would have consequences that went far beyond a simple warning or ticket. Danny felt angry and embarrassed. Lisa felt ashamed that she had not spoken up sooner. And Marcus drove home knowing that he had a difficult decision to make about what to do next. The next morning, Judge Marcus Washington arrived at the Springfield County Courthouse at his usual time of 7:30. He carried his briefcase and walked through the same doors he had walked through for 8 years. But today felt different. Today, he carried the weight of last night's encounter with Officer Danny Carter. As Marcus walked down the hallway to his office, he noticed people looking at him strangely. Some court workers whispered to each other when they saw him pass. By the time he reached his office, Marcus realized that word of the traffic stop had already spread through the courthouse. His secretary, Patricia Adams, was waiting for him with a concerned look on her face. "Judge Washington, I heard about what happened last night. Are you okay?" Marcus set down his briefcase and sat at his desk. "I'm fine, Patricia. How did you hear about it?" "My neighbor works dispatch at the police station," Patricia explained. "She said the whole department is talking about it this morning. Officer Carter stopped you for no reason, didn't he?" Marcus nodded. "It seems the story is already making its way around town." Patricia shook her head in disgust. "That's terrible. What are you going to do about it?" "I'm not sure yet," Marcus said honestly. "I need to think about it carefully." Meanwhile, across town at the Springfield police station, Officer Danny Carter was having a very different morning. He had barely slept the night before, replaying the traffic stop over and over in his mind. He kept thinking about the moment when dispatch confirmed that Marcus Washington was really a judge. Danny walked into the station and immediately noticed that other officers were looking at him. Some nodded in greeting, but others seemed to avoid eye contact. Danny went to his locker to get his equipment for the day shift. "Carter," called a voice from across the room. It was Sergeant Mike Torres. "Captain Brooks wants to see you in her office, now." Danny's stomach dropped. Captain Helen Brooks was tough but fair, and if she wanted to see him first thing in the morning, it meant trouble. Danny walked to the captain's office and knocked on the door. "Come in," Captain Brooks said. Danny entered and saw Lisa Martinez, sitting in a chair across from the captain's desk. Lisa looked nervous and would not meet Danny's eyes. "Sit down, Carter," Captain Brooks said. Her voice was serious and cold. Danny sat down next to Lisa, wondering what she had told the captain. Captain Brooks opened a file on her desk. "I received a call at home last night from the county administrator. It seems you had an interesting traffic stop yesterday evening." Danny tried to think of what to say. "Yes, ma'am. I stopped a suspicious vehicle and checked the driver's identification." "Suspicious how?" Captain Brooks asked. Danny struggled to find words. "The car seemed out of place in that neighborhood. The driver was acting nervous." According to Officer Martinez's report, the driver was polite and cooperative throughout the entire stop. "Is that correct, Martinez?" Lisa nodded. "Yes, ma'am. Judge Washington was very calm and respectful." Captain Brooks looked at Danny. "Judge Washington, you did realize you had stopped a sitting judge, correct?" "Not at first," Danny admitted. "He claimed to be a judge, but I thought he was lying." "So you continued to treat him like a criminal even after he identified himself?" Danny felt trapped. "I was following proper procedure. I had to verify his identity." Captain Brooks picked up another paper from her desk. "I have the dispatch recording from last night. Would you like me to play it? Because it shows that you spent 20 minutes harassing Judge Washington before you even bothered to verify who he was." Danny said nothing. "I also have a report from Officer Martinez describing your conduct during the stop. She says you searched Judge Washington without probable cause, took his phone when he was legally recording the interaction, and made several inappropriate comments." Lisa shifted in her chair. She had struggled all night about whether to file the report, but she knew it was the right thing to do. Captain Brooks continued. "Judge Washington called me personally this morning. Do you know what he said?" Danny shook his head. "He said he was not calling to complain about you. He was calling to discuss how we can prevent situations like this from happening in the future. He wants to work with us to improve police-community relations." Danny was surprised. He had expected the judge to file a complaint and try to get him fired. "But here's the thing, Carter," Captain Brooks said, her voice getting harder. "Even though Judge Washington is being generous, I cannot ignore what happened. You violated department policy multiple times last night. You conducted an illegal search. You failed to follow proper procedures, and you treated a citizen with disrespect. Danny knew he was in serious trouble. Effective immediately. You are suspended without pay for 2 weeks. When you return, you will be on probation for 6 months. You will also attend mandatory training on bias awareness and proper police procedures. Danny felt his face getting hot. Captain, I've been a good officer for 15 years. One mistake shouldn't destroy my career. This wasn't just one mistake, Carter. This was a pattern of bad judgment and inappropriate behavior. And frankly, I'm getting tired of covering for officers who think the badge gives them the right to harass citizens. Captain Brooks turned to Lisa. Officer Martinez, I want to thank you for filing an honest report. I know it wasn't easy to speak up against a senior officer, but it was the right thing to do. Lisa nodded. Thank you, ma'am. You're dismissed, Martinez. Carter, clean out your locker and turn in your badge and gun. I'll see you in 2 weeks, and you better be ready to change your attitude. As they left the captain's office, Danny felt angry and humiliated. He blamed Marcus Washington for causing all this trouble. He blamed Lisa Martinez for writing the report. But deep down, he knew he had brought this on himself. Lisa went back to her desk, feeling both relieved and worried. She had done the right thing by reporting Danny's behavior, but she knew some officers would see her as a snitch. Still, she could not have stayed quiet about what she witnessed. Back at the courthouse, Judge Washington was meeting with several other judges and court administrators. They were discussing the incident and its implications for the relationship between the police department and the court system. Marcus, you have every right to file a formal complaint, said Judge Robert Kim. What Carter did was completely unacceptable. I know, Marcus replied, but I think there might be a better way to handle this. Filing a complaint will just make Officer Carter angry and defensive. It won't change his heart or his mind. So what do you propose? Asked Court Administrator Linda Foster. Marcus thought for a moment. I want to use this as an opportunity to start a real conversation about bias and fairness in our justice system, both in law enforcement and in our courts. Later that afternoon, Marcus made a phone call to Captain Brooks. Captain, I've been thinking about our conversation this morning. I have an idea I'd like to discuss with you. I'm listening, Judge Washington. Instead of just punishing Officer Carter, what if we created a program that could help him understand the impact of his actions, something that might actually change his perspective? Captain Brooks was quiet for a moment. What did you have in mind? I'd like to meet with Officer Carter when his suspension is over, not to lecture him, but to have an honest conversation. And maybe we could develop some kind of community service program that would help him see things from a different point of view. That's very generous of you, Judge Washington. It's not about being generous, Marcus said. It's about making real change. Punishment alone won't fix this problem. We need to address the root causes. As the day ended, 3 lives had been changed forever. Danny Carter sat at home, angry and confused about his future. Lisa Martinez drove home wondering if she had done enough to stand up for what was right. And Judge Marcus Washington worked late into the evening, planning a response that could transform a moment of injustice into an opportunity for growth and understanding. 2 weeks later, Danny Carter sat in his car outside the Springfield police station. His suspension was over, but he was not ready to go inside. For 14 days, he had been at home, thinking about what had happened and feeling angry about his punishment. He blamed everyone except himself for the situation he was in. Danny's wife, Carol, had tried to talk to him about the incident, but he would not listen. His friends at the station had called to check on him, but most of them said he had been treated unfairly. Only his oldest friend, Officer Pete Johnson, had told him the truth. Danny, you messed up, Pete had said during a visit. You stopped that man because he was black and driving a nice car. You know it, I know it, and everyone else knows it too. Danny had gotten angry and told Pete to leave his house. But Pete's words stayed with him. Now, sitting in his car, Danny saw Lisa Martinez walking into the station. She looked confident and professional, not like the nervous rookie she had been 2 weeks ago. Danny felt bitter watching her. He thought she had betrayed him by writing that report. Danny finally got out of his car and walked into the station. Several officers nodded at him, but nobody seemed excited to see him back. He went to Captain Brooks's office and knocked on the door. "Come in, Carter," Captain Brooks said. Danny entered and sat down. Captain Brooks looked at him seriously. "How was your time off?" she asked. "It was fine," Danny replied, though it was not true. "Good. Because today we're going to talk about your future with this department. You have a choice to make, Carter. You can continue being the same officer you've always been, or you can learn from this experience and become better." Danny did not say anything. Captain Brooks continued, "Judge Washington has asked to meet with you. He has a proposal that could help both you and this department. Are you willing to listen?" Danny did not want to meet with Judge Washington. He was still embarrassed about the traffic stop and angry that the judge had caused him so much trouble. But he knew he did not have much choice. "I guess so," Danny said. An hour later, Danny found himself sitting in Judge Washington's office, at the courthouse. The judge was reviewing some papers when Danny arrived. Marcus looked up and smiled politely. "Officer Carter, thank you for coming. Please, sit down." Danny sat down but did not say anything. He looked around the office, which was filled with law books and pictures of Marcus with various community leaders and politicians. "I know this is probably difficult for you," Marcus said. "But I want you to know that I'm not here to punish you or make you feel bad about what happened." Danny looked surprised. "You're not?" "No. What's done is done. But I am interested in making sure something like this doesn't happen again. Not just with you, but with other officers as well." Marcus stood up and walked to his window, which looked out over the city. "Officer Carter, can I ask you something? What did you see when you first noticed my car that night?" Danny thought about it. "I saw an expensive car in a neighborhood where it didn't belong." "Why didn't it belong there?" Marcus asked. Danny was quiet for a moment. "I don't know, it just seemed suspicious." "Was it suspicious because of the car, or because of who you thought might be driving it?" Danny did not want to answer that question, but something about Judge Washington's calm manner made him think about it honestly. "Maybe both," Danny admitted. Marcus nodded. "I appreciate your honesty. Now let me ask you this. If you had seen a white man my age driving that same car in that same neighborhood, would you have stopped him?" Danny wanted to say yes, but he knew it would be a lie. "Probably not," he said quietly. "That's what I thought," Marcus said. "And that's the problem we need to solve." Marcus sat back down at his desk. "Officer Carter, I have a proposal for you. Instead of just serving your probation and going back to regular patrol duty, I want you to participate in a special program." "What kind of program?" Danny asked. "Community service, but not the usual kind. I want you to spend time with organizations in our community that work with people who have been affected by police misconduct. I want you to hear their stories and understand how your actions impact real people." Danny did not like the sound of this. "That sounds like punishment to me." "It's not punishment," Marcus said. "It's education, and it's voluntary. Captain Brooks has agreed to let you choose. You can do regular probation or you can try this program." "What if I choose regular probation?" Marcus leaned back in his chair. "Then you'll go back to patrol, finish your 6 months of probation, and hopefully never have another incident like this. But you won't have learned anything, and neither will anyone else. And if I choose your program? Then you'll spend the next 6 months learning about the community you serve. You'll work with people who have been harmed by police bias. You'll help with community programs. And maybe, just maybe, you'll become the kind of officer this city needs." Danny was quiet for a long time. He did not want to admit that he had been wrong about anything, but he also knew that his career was at a crossroads. "Why are you doing this?" Danny asked. "Why are you trying to help me after what I did to you?" Marcus smiled sadly. "Because punishing you won't solve the real problem. The real problem is that too many police officers see people like me as threats instead of neighbors. That has to change." "I never thought about it that way," Danny said. "I know, you didn't, and that's exactly why this program might help." Marcus pulled out a folder from his desk. There's a community center on Oak Street that works with families who have been affected by police violence. There's also a youth program that helps young men avoid trouble with the law. And there's a senior center where elderly people often talk about their experiences with discrimination. Danny looked at the papers Marcus handed him. You want me to work at all these places? I want you to volunteer at these places, listen to people's stories, help with their programs, learn what life is like from their perspective. For 6 months? For 6 months. And at the end, if you've really participated and learned something, I'll write a letter of recommendation that will help your career. But if you just go through the motions without really trying to understand, then we'll all know that nothing has changed. Danny looked at the papers again. This was not what he had expected when he came to the meeting. He thought Judge Washington would lecture him or threaten him. Instead, the judge was offering him a chance to grow. What about the other officers? What will they think if I do this? Marcus nodded. Some of them will think you're weak for admitting you made a mistake, but others will respect you for trying to do better. And Officer Martinez has already volunteered to help with the program. Danny was surprised. Lisa Martinez wants to help. She does. She believes that good police officers should always be learning and improving. She thinks this program could help the whole department. Danny sat quietly for several minutes, thinking about his choices. He could take the easy way and just serve his probation, or he could try something that might actually change him. Finally, he looked up at Judge Washington. If I do this program, will it really make a difference? Marcus smiled. Officer Carter, that depends entirely on you. Danny took a deep breath. For the first time in 2 weeks, he felt like he had a chance to make something good come out of his mistake. Okay, he said. I'll try your program. Marcus stood up and shook Danny's hand. Then let's get started. 6 months later, Danny Carter stood in front of a group of new police recruits at the Springfield Police Academy. He wore his uniform with pride, but it was a different kind of pride than he had felt before. This was not the pride of power or authority. This was the pride of someone who had learned from his mistakes and wanted to help others avoid making the same ones. My name is Officer Danny Carter, he began, looking at the young faces in front of him. 6 months ago, I made one of the worst mistakes of my 15-year career. I stopped a man because of the color of his skin and the car he was driving. That man turned out to be Judge Marcus Washington, one of the most respected people in our community. The recruits listened carefully. Some of them had heard about the incident, but most had not heard the full story. I want to tell you what I learned from that experience, Danny continued. Because if I can save even one of you from making the same mistake, then something good will have come from my failure. Danny spent the next hour talking about bias, prejudice, and the importance of treating every citizen with respect. He talked about the community service program that had changed his life. He talked about the people he had met and the stories he had heard. After his presentation, Danny drove to the Oak Street Community Center, where he now volunteered every Saturday morning. Mrs. Rose Williams, a 78-year-old grandmother, was waiting for him with a smile. Danny, you're just in time, she said. The children are waiting for story time. Danny had been reading to children at the community center for 4 months now. At first, it had felt strange and uncomfortable. He was not used to being around young black children, and they were not used to seeing police officers as friendly helpers. But slowly they had all gotten to know each other. Officer Danny, called out 8-year-old Marcus Johnson, running up to him. The boy had been named after Judge Washington, though Danny had only learned this recently. Hey there, Marcus, Danny said, ruffling the boy's hair. Are you ready for today's story? As Danny read to the children, he thought about how much his life had changed. The community service program had been harder than he expected, but it had also been more rewarding than he could have imagined. During his first week at the senior center, Danny had met an elderly man named Robert Clark, who had been beaten by police officers in 1963 for trying to register to vote. Robert had every reason to hate police officers, but instead he had patiently explained to Danny what it felt like to be treated as less than human. Son, Robert had said, I don't hate you for what those officers did to me 50 years ago, but I need you to understand that when you look at a black man and automatically think criminal or dangerous, you're carrying on that same tradition of hate. Danny had also worked with families whose sons and fathers had been killed or injured in police encounters. He had heard stories that broke his heart and opened his eyes to experiences he had never considered before. But the program had not just been about listening to sad stories. Danny had also helped organize community events, assisted with job training, programs, and worked with young people who wanted to become police officers themselves. Lisa Martinez had been right there with him throughout the program. She had volunteered her free time to help with police community dialogues and had become a bridge between the police department and the neighborhoods they served. "Danny, you've really changed," Lisa had told him just last week. "When I first met you, I was afraid to speak up when I saw you doing something wrong. Now I feel like I can talk to you about anything." That afternoon, Danny drove to the courthouse for his monthly meeting with Judge Washington. Over the past 6 months, these meetings had become something Danny looked forward to. Marcus had become not just a mentor, but something close to a friend. "Danny, come in," Marcus said as Danny knocked on his office door. "How did the academy presentation go this morning?" "Really well," Danny said, sitting down. "The recruits asked good questions and I think they understood the message." Marcus smiled. "I'm proud of you. You've come a long way from the officer who stopped me 6 months ago." "I still feel bad about that night," Danny said. "I think about it almost every day." "Good," Marcus replied. "That means you're taking responsibility for your actions, but you can't let guilt consume you. You have to use it to motivate you to do better." Marcus pulled out a letter from his desk. "Speaking of doing better, I have something for you." Danny took the letter and read it. It was a formal recommendation from Judge Washington, praising Danny's work in the community service program and recommending him for advancement within the police department. "Judge Washington, you don't have to do this," Danny said. "Yes, I do. You've earned it. You've shown that people can change, and that's something this community needs to see." Marcus stood up and walked to his window. "Danny, I have some news. The program you participated in is being expanded throughout the state. Other police departments want to create similar programs in their communities." Danny was amazed. "Really? Really? Captain Brooks has been contacted by departments in 3 other cities. They want to know how we did this, and they want you to help train their officers." Danny felt overwhelmed. 6 months ago, he had been a suspended police officer facing the end of his career. Now he was being asked to help reform police departments across the state. "There's something else," Marcus continued. "The city council has approved funding for a new position in the police department, a community liaison officer whose job will be to maintain relationships between the police and the neighborhoods they serve. Captain Brooks wants to offer you the position." Danny could not believe what he was hearing. "They want me to be the community liaison?" "They do. You understand both sides now. You know what it's like to be a regular patrol officer, but you also know what it's like for community members who have been treated unfairly by police." That evening, Danny went home to his wife, Carol. She was in the kitchen preparing dinner when he walked in. "How was your day?" she asked. Danny sat down at the kitchen table and told her about the academy presentation, his work at the community center, and his meeting with Judge Washington. "I'm so proud of you," Carol said, sitting down next to him. 6 months ago, I was worried about the kind of man you were becoming. But this program has brought back the good man I married." Danny nodded. "I almost lost everything because of my prejudice and anger. But Judge Washington gave me a chance to become better instead of just being punished." "What are you going to do about the job offer?" Carol asked. Danny had been thinking about that all afternoon. "I'm going to take it. I want to spend the rest of my career making sure that what happened to Judge Washington never happens to anyone else." 2 weeks later, Danny Carter stood next to Judge Marcus Washington at a community meeting in the Oak Street Community Center. They were announcing the expansion of the Police Community Partnership Program to other neighborhoods. 6 months ago, Officer Carter and I met under very different circumstances, Marcus told the crowd. But instead of letting that incident divide us, we chose to use it as an opportunity to bring our community together. Danny stepped forward to speak. "I made a serious mistake that night when I stopped Judge Washington, but he showed me that people can change if they're willing to do the hard work of examining their own hearts and minds. In the audience, Lisa Martinez watched with pride as her former partner spoke about transformation and growth. She had been promoted to detective and was now working on cases involving police misconduct, helping to ensure that officers who broke the law were held accountable. As the meeting ended, Danny and Marcus shook hands. 6 months earlier, they had been on opposite sides of a traffic stop that could have destroyed both their lives. Now they were partners in building a better community. "Thank you," Danny said to Marcus. "Thank you for seeing something in me that I couldn't see in myself." Marcus smiled. "Thank you for proving that change is possible. That's a lesson this whole community needed to learn." Walking out of the community center together, Danny Carter and Judge Marcus Washington had become living proof that justice is not just about punishment, but about the possibility of redemption and growth.